Hey, all, I'm here moving my son's last things to Tennessee. And so bittersweet. What a turn. Things are dying. Something is dying for the rest of our lives. It is dying. Um, and a new beginning is here. A new resurrection life is coming. And maturity is coming. Growth is coming. And that's taking courageous steps. And God has heard the cry of the broken. Certainly, God has heard the cry of the broken. Mercy is readily available to the broken. And we cry out in so many different ways. We cry out with our mouth, with our prayers. We cry out with our utterances, with our tears. We cry out even with our toxic behaviors. We cry out with our mistakes. We cry out. God does not listen only to the voice. He listens to the cries of the hearts and souls of his children. All humanity is crying out for the glory of God to be revealed. All creation is crying out for the sons of God to be revealed. How blessed we are to know that God hears the cries of his people through all unconventional ways. And I was thinking about my son, and all of his issues, and he's such a beautiful soul. He's innocent, he's pure. And there's such a great part of me that desires to be like him. And because something of his cognition and of his nervous system in this world was taken away, because of that, he was given innocence. He was given some type of holy purity. What an exchange that was made for my Daniel. What an exchange. And the eyes are the window of the soul. When we look, this is on my screen. When we look into the eyes of people, we can recognize darkness. We can recognize bondage. And we can also see light, and we can see freedom, and we can see heaven in the eyes. And if you've ever watched someone else go through the process of a deliverance, you can actually see the change in the eyes, because the eyes are the window of the soul, and the eyes become more and more pure, filled with light, beautiful. And someone can have the most beautiful blue eyes, but still that window is full of darkness. And someone can have the darkest eyes and just they glimmer with the beauty of heaven. I pray for beautiful eyes. I pray for innocent eyes. I pray for eyes filled with light. The Bible says, for if the eye is filled with darkness, the whole soul, right, is dark. If the eye is full of light, the soul is full of light. And at some of the most deepest, tumultuous times of my life, which oftentimes involved Daniel, and I felt like I had no one to talk to, nowhere to go, I would sit with my son and just have a conversation, not about what I was going through, but just I can speak to my son in such a way that I don't speak to anyone, because he has a direct connection to heaven. And there's a purity line, there's a holy line that he has with heaven, that he was given in exchange for something of this world. He had to give up something of this world, majorly. He gave up, I don't know if his own choice or whatever, but God chose to allow Daniel to give up amazing things of this world. So he could have a direct line to heaven, and he could be a beautiful soul, and he could have a direct connection, holy and pure and innocent, to heaven. And I can sit with my son and I can talk of the things of heaven and of this world in great depth. And Daniel can just hit me with an arrow of truth that cleanses my soul, convicts my soul, transforms me, breaks me, humbles me, to cause me to cry out for mercy, for transformation, for change. But Daniel had to make a great exchange with the things of this world. What a testimony. For he is subject to so many because he cannot do a lot of things for himself in this world. And yet he is filled with heaven. He is filled with heaven. May God change our sight to see what is important, what is holy, what is eternal, that our eyes may be made beautiful and our whole soul may be filled with light, like Daniel. He's not perfect, but he is a living testimony of the glory of God. And I cherish him, and I cherish the treasure in the field of Daniel that was gifted to me through suffering and pain and grief and loss of the son that I had always thought I would have in exchange for Daniel. Because he truly is a prince before the Lord, and I cherish him as such. And whoever knows Daniel, truly knows him, is never the same, because he touches the soul in a way that when the woman pressed through the crowd to touch the garment of Christ, to allow some of that virtue to flow out into her just from the hem of the garment, that's what it's like when Daniel touches a life. Somebody thinks I'm loitering around, so I'm gonna